Hi guys, welcome to Windsome Cottage Garden. My name is Hannah and I'm so glad that you decided to join me today. We are in the city garden once more, and I announced in my last video that I bought a new house and I'm moving. This is actually going to be our last weekend having possession of this house in the city garden, and one of the main things we're doing is digging up my dahlias. Now, I am no real estate expert, however, I do know that gardens, usually when you accept an offer of sale, should be as is unless otherwise noted. So for me, I did make some notes, including dividing plants and taking some plants, including taking all of my dahlias. So just as a caveat that if you're unsure or you're in the process of selling, talk to your real estate agent. And if it's something you're concerned about, make sure it is part of the contract that defines who gets to take what. Because technically speaking, I don't know what you're allowed to take if it's not included. Again, not an expert, just saying be cautious and make sure that you're not breaking some type of contract. That's going to be in the next video you see where we dig them, but for right now, I wanted to walk you through the garden. The last tour we did was probably July or August. It's been some time. And since then, you've seen a whole series of videos of me preparing to move. I announced when I said I was going to be shifting that I didn't know when, and at the time that was true. And then probably a week or so, 2 weeks after that, I found my house a lot sooner than I thought I would. I'd originally been planning probably to move next spring and just wanted to prep things. And it just worked out a different way. So thought I would do a tour that now that it's mid-September, and there are a couple of other things looking really good that deserve their moment in the sun. We're going to pan from the backyard, and I'm going to show you, this was actually the first bed that we spent time in. Before we even listed the house, I removed some of my roses and their structures because those were things I knew I wanted to take, and they would be harder in my mind. Most of the things I wanted to take were removed before the house was listed. A couple other things were specifically said that I was taking. But if you look here, some of the ground cover we planted last year, this myrtle, is beginning to kind of take over the space, which is what my hope was for it. A lot of this grassy texture you see, oh, this is a weed. I'll remove this for the next person. But a lot of this grassy texture is actually the grape hyacinth that's planted in this area. This bed is actually one of my favorites in the spring. And I really hope the new owners enjoy it because it's probably going to be a surprise to them how beautiful it looks. Actually, the whole yard looks in the spring with all the spring color I've worked in. But we did manage to keep the peony here that we divided it. The hellebore I didn't touch. And we've got the lupins, the hosta. And then this area, I divided the flax that used to be right here. I took a chunk, and then what was left I divided and kind of filled in this space. So next summer, it should be like a really big swath flax that'll be pretty, as well as the iris backing it. The other thing that I had here with the rose was it was actually being too shaded because of this redbud tree, which has put on some tremendous growth. And it wasn't quite as happy as it could have been. Moving along our limelight hydrangeas, they're beginning to feel a little bit of the cool of the nights, but they've got their beautiful fall color starting, which is this like dusky pink. I am going to be so sad that these beautiful things can't be dug up and come with me. They're way too established, but I do have some hydrangeas on my to buy list fairly quickly. I don't think it'll be this variety, just for a multitude of reasons, but I definitely want to add something like this in at the new house. I didn't really touch a ton of things in this bed right here. Everything in the front got divided that I wanted to take with me. I grabbed a boogie woogie that, again, this is what the sedum is. It hasn't started its full, well, this one looks like it's already bloomed out. Oh, here's a good example. It's got a bright yellow flower that is really, really pretty. And I'm hoping over time it just kind of spreads and fills this area. The plant that I divided was actually tucked back in there, and I ended up taking it and moving a bit of it to join this one to give it a little more space that it needed. I took some of these banshee iris that I absolutely love, but I didn't really touch anything in this bed. And you can see the sedum. This type of year, sedum is always looking so good. Other things are beginning to peter out, but the sedum comes through, and I've got it dotted in a couple areas, as well as some other things that are shining stars right now that I'll point out in detail a little bit closer in a moment. Again, I mentioned we took the rose arbor that used to be here before the house was listed, so there is a bit of a gap there, but I honestly don't know if you miss it, and it kind of opens up the view of this window a lot better. I don't regret having the rose there, but I think the new owner will like how this is framed now. And this variegated dogwood, which is also beginning to color up, does get a bit big. So it'll kind of hug that corner and soften the porch look as well. I still have to grab these pots and these chairs. My mom and I drove up and we're like, oh, we haven't taken those yet. Inside is mostly empty right now. But we did take, I divided one of the pink balloon flowers. I took a little bit of the lungwort, and these things are looking a little bit sad, but you can see that there's a lot of different things at play here. They're a little downtrodden because we've had a lot of rain, but the campanula flowers we planted last year are doing well. This grassy texture is kind of a different green than other things we have. And as always, the pincushion flowers are still going strong and looking absolutely lovely. As are the boxwoods. We've been training them the last couple years to this sphere, and they need another training cut, but I'm going to leave it for the new owner to decide what they want to do, if they want to let them get bigger or what. But I love the structure it gives on either side of these stone steps right here, and I'm definitely going to miss it in the new house. Moving along, I divided almost all of the perennials in this space. Some of them are looking a little sad, like the hellebores. They were flopped over already, and I'm actually, after this video, going to run the drip to give everything a nice drink before the heat of the day. Fall is when toad lilies shine. I absolutely love toad lilies. If you've seen my other videos at the cottage, I'm adding them everywhere. They are a shade plant that flowers in the fall with these delicate little orchid-like blossoms. One variety I have right now is not doing any flowers, which is a little strange. I don't know exactly why, but this one I think is my favorite that just started. Look at that. It's heavily spotted and absolutely gorgeous. When I took a chunk of each of these varieties to the new house, I divided the stilby, the hellebores. I'm thinking about grabbing a piece of pinks, and I am very sad that this beautiful Japanese maple can't be divided or dug up, but it has been in here and a staple of the garden, so I'm hoping the new owners enjoy it as much as I did. We divided iris in this area. This guy, oh my gosh. If you saw the last video where I was dividing things, I did not think I was going to be able to dig that out. It was in there really, really fiercely, and I essentially had to hack a piece of it out, but it looks okay, so I think it will recover. This border, the one thing that I did want to point out right here is how beautiful is this quick fire hydrangea standard. This color is like the epitome of fall to me. And over time, this will continue growing. It's only been in here probably 3 years. And I think it'll create this nice little round privacy bit at the end of this little pathway. That I wish I could see. I'll probably do some drive-bys and check in on it. But I think, again, it looks so beautiful right now in the fall. Other things of note, the incredible hydrangea we planted last spring did really, really well in its new position this year. And this window box is staying with the house. And there are a couple things I took from it that I don't know if I'd repeat, but one thing I definitely would is I planted 2 Thromburgia black-eyed Susan vines. They were the white ones. I think they're called like Luna or something like that, as trailers, and I absolutely loved it, especially because halfway through they started winding their way up the coleus and whatnot. Now the coleus I picked was actually a bit of a disappointment in this arrangement. There were supposed to be a lot more purpley colors, and they just did not perform well at all. These were all off-brand coleus, so maybe that had something to do with it, but the lobelia definitely looked great. I knew this was called Techno Blue. and it's still got lots of color, which is nice, though it's beginning to peter out. Just walking along this bed quickly. A lot of these hostas I planted not long after I moved in. This whole bed actually was completely changed when I moved to this house, and it really took off. I'm really grateful to see how it's done. And these hostas I'm glad to be able to divide and take pieces to the new house as well. The gang is all here helping with things. But let's hop into the backyard with the doggos. This guy, half of him is alive. We decided to leave him because he provided a lot of structure, and he might make a recovery. I probably was going to give him one more year if I continued to live here, because he is I think he's a limelight standard. He's been in this position a long time, and probably a year ago something happened, I don't know what, that he really started suffering, and you can see half of him is not doing super well. But I've been giving him a lot of TLC, and I'm hoping he makes a recovery. And if not, the new owner gets to make a harder decision that I could not make. This area is looking pretty good. We've got some more of those beautiful toad lilies in the back that are beginning to put on their show, and a heuchera tucked in that provides some really pretty red. One thing that I wish I'd done a little bit differently is I have so many beautiful hostas in this place. They're looking a little tattered right now at the end of the season, but typically they look a lot better than this. But I wish I'd added some more variety in here. So this is a lesson I'm going to take to the new house for sure. Swinging around, I think we'll probably go this way. But we divided a lot of things in here. The sedum, we divided it and he was looking better. And then we got a huge rainstorm and he just flopped. But again, they provide such beautiful late color that sedum have to be in every yard, I think, to providing that color. There's not a lot of things in here providing color right now, except the beautiful cosmos that finally started taking off. It took quite some time for them to start looking like this. In fact, I don't think I cut any for cut flower arrangements all year, because these have really just happened in the last 2-3 weeks, which is when we've been doing the bulk of the moving. But look at this one over here. I just got to give you a moment to appreciate it. It is absolutely huge. I don't know what this variety is, but it's like hand size. It's got that beautiful dark throat. Oh, and it's quite a stunner. I wishful I could figure out what it is so that we could make sure to plant it again next year. This bed, we spent a lot of time talking about the divisions and whatnot, so I'm not going to spend too much time in it right now, but I am going to just give you a brief look at this celosia. That I think this was the best this little eyebrow bed looked. Again, some things are beginning to peter a bit with the fall onset, but I wish I had done this a lot sooner than I did. I also still don't know what these are. They were labeled as alyssum, and we can agree they're not alyssum. I thought they might be asters, but I think they're more like a daisy. And I wish I knew what they were, because I would buy them again, because they were so cheerful in the border that I would like to repeat it. I'm not really going to go into the vegetable garden in this tour, but well, I might do a dry walk by of the zinnias that are looking glorious right now, but it's very overgrown. Hasn't been cut back like it really should. But it's looking wild and free as always. And some of it's going to be taken down as I dig the dahlias out. We'll probably hack a path so we don't get wet all the time. And I am unfortunately going to have to cut the tomatoes back to take my cages. I'm leaving like the cattle panel supports, but I do want to take my Titan tomato cages because they are amazing. I love them. I have quite a number of them, and they are an investment that I have already made. I don't really feel like giving them up. Look at this bloom. This was like the feather plume celosia that I think might be one of my favorites. We got our brain ones as well, which are pretty. But walking around, the main thing I wanted to kind of show you was the dahlias before we started cutting them back. This one is a seed dahlia. We got a little bee friend, big old bumble hanging out that I love. I've got another one of him back here. He doesn't have a name because he was a seed dahlia. But then I've got a variety of orange pom-poms that really were enjoyable this year. Here's another one. And I don't know variety names. This, because a lot of these were bought in packs. And I think I didn't quite get the pack that I was expecting to get. But they're beautiful. As is, oh, I do have to take a moment. This is a little quickfire hydrangea. And you guys, this is the best this has ever looked. He's probably nearing mature size, a little ways off. Oh shoot, something came up and dug up those irises. I'm gonna have to dig them back, put them back down. But man, absolutely loving him. And my Dr. Seussical grass. This was here when I moved in. I took a chunk of him for the new house, but he's one of my favorite whimsical things. Speaking of whimsical, this path finally looks like the secret garden I've always kind of craved it to be. Again, we've got beautiful dahlias here and there. This one, for instance, is a tender mixed dahlia. As is this one. So, like I said, they're very different. They're clearly different dahlias. I just don't know what their variety name is. Every once in a while I will, like that one down there, which isn't super open. It's got some petals gone. This was a night butterfly. I do know that. And I'm really happy he made it. I thought his tuber was not looking the best. This one right here is a seed dahlia that I thought was so pretty. He's got such like a sunsetty flower. Not a double, but a single. I've got another one that I call Sunset, this one, which is also a seed. But most of them, this has lost some petals, but they've usually got 2 layers of flowers. Oh, and I wish I could find you an example of what they look when they first open, because their color is just so striking. I haven't been deadheading these as much as I should, because again, moving, you guys. I moved into this house 9-ish years ago, and my parents have moved in that time, but I completely forgot how awful moving is and how much work it is. But I'm really excited about the new house. Don't regret moving. This whole process, though, I'm kind of over. So I haven't had time to really do hardly any arrangements like I like to do, or kind of keep up on deadheading like I normally do either. But there's a beautiful mix here. We're going to take it, and next year is a new year for these dahlias as well. Mix in here, but I do want to point out we've got a huge dinner plate one there. That's probably going to make its way to the cottage next year. This is the other this is the same one as this. And I think it's got just a beautiful color. It's not showing up quite as accurately here, but it's like a pinky orange with iridescence to it. Oh, absolutely love. We've got some more pom-poms, yellow, a lot of orange in here, which was, again, I think I told you last year, one of the criticisms I had is I bought 3 or 4 different packs of 5. They were supposed to be 5 different dahlias from an online retailer, and I did not get what was advertised in the packs. I got a lot of this yellow orange pom-pom, and I didn't get some of the specialty ones that I specifically bought the pack for, which was a bummer. But I've kind of moved on, and I started buying just tubers from a different retailer. All my stuff this year I bought from Swan Island Dahlia. My mom bought a couple online from somewhere else. Oof, I can't remember the name. I'll see you once we do a tour at the cottage. I'll show you what those dahlias are looking like, and if I can remember where she bought them, I'll mention, because she was quite happy with them this year, and they did do very, very well. We're about to go through the archway, which these cucamelons, you guys, completely took it over. I've got a ton of tomatoes that we might just quick grab some and turn them into probably spaghetti sauce. But one of the problems, since I haven't been here really monitoring this, is a lot of these branches grew, and then got like folded in half with rain. And so that's why they look kind of dead, which is not the best. But then there's some in here. Look at this. It's like the secret garden I always wanted it to be. And I haven't managed to really get the last couple of years. But there are still a lot of tomatoes in here. These are Chadwick cherries that are good and can be used for things. Over here we have some more dahlias. Look at this cute little dark red palm. Beautiful. Here's the other see dahlia of the same variety. We've got a Leonardo dahlia down there that doesn't have a ton of blooms. And then we just got a mishmash of things that with the rain has really kind of folded forward. A sedum and a couple of dahlias in here that were a mistake to plant in there, but I will be getting those out and give them a better space next year. This one has actually provided a lot of joy. It's part of the sunset mix. I don't know what its specific variety is. I kind of wondered if it was like a poo, but it's a bright pop that you see from the deck when you're there. Okay, I said I wasn't going to go in here, but I'm just going to kind of step in. As you can see, we're going to hack back some of the zinnias. They have done so well this year. And you can see some more of the dahlias as well. Just looking glorious. Though this is definitely a tangled, wild mess that has been left to its own devices for too long, which is a bit of a bummer. But some of these, like this is the Queen Red Lime Zinnia. Oh, look at that color. There's some Queen Red Zinnia. Then there's a Queen Red Lime. There's Queen Red Orange, as well as some Oklahoma mix, I believe, in here in status. This is like a bouquet. So even if I didn't quite get to do what I wanted this year, I can still enjoy the beauty of it from a distance. It's looking a bit wild. It was much better when we listed it, but we've had a lot of rain and sun and growing time since then. And it's kind of been allowed to do its own thing. That's really going to be a very quick but last tour of the city garden. I think the thing that's hardest about leaving this house is leaving the garden, because I've spent so much time and so a great chunk of it is really all me. But one of the things I asked when I announced I was moving is, what did you guys do when you moved? Or what did you wish you did? And people said, I wish I took more. And I took that to heart, and almost every plant, other than the shrubs, but all the perennials that I loved, I divided and took. So next year is probably going to be when those find their home in the new space, which is kind of a blank canvas, not entirely. It's got some beautiful mature trees that we can enjoy, and you'll see eventually in the next video or the one after that, you'll get to see what the new house looks like. I still have to kind of refine my holding area and winterize it, because I'm not going to be able to plant everything before the snow flies. But I'll be able to take large chunks of this garden with me. And then that's like bringing the garden with me, and I can look at those plants and think, oh, I remember where it was in this garden, now it's here, which is what my parents have done with most houses they've moved in. So I'll bring pieces with me, but the garden is going to be the thing that I miss the most. I really appreciate you guys joining me today. For those of you who have watched the last couple years and this garden evolve a little bit and things being added, I didn't really anticipate, even as early, like last spring, that I'd be leaving the house this soon, but I am really excited about the new garden and the new house and all the new things that we can create there. I hope you will join me along with that journey. If you liked this video or if you want to see more, please remember to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.